Peace in the midst of storms is one of the most profound indicators that a person is under God's special protection. Life is filled with challenges, uncertainties, and unexpected events that can shake even the strongest of individuals. Financial pressures, health concerns, relationship struggles, career obstacles, and personal setbacks are just a few of the storms people face daily. Yet those who are under God's divine protection often experience a peace that transcends understanding, a calmness that seems impossible given the circumstances surrounding them. This peace is not merely a lack of fear or anxiety. It is a deep inner assurance that God is in control, that He is orchestrating events for a purpose, and that ultimately nothing can separate them from His love and care. This kind of peace often begins in the heart and mind. When challenges arise, instead of reacting impulsively or allowing fear to dominate, a protected person instinctively leans on God's promises. They pray, meditate on Scripture, and remind themselves that God is sovereign. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." This peace is anchored in trust, a trust that God is watching over them, that He has a plan even when circumstances seem confusing, and that He is shielding them from harm that they may not even see coming. It is this unwavering trust that allows them to walk through difficult seasons with composure, clarity, and hope. Another aspect of this peace is its resilience in the face of trials. Many people experience temporary relief or fleeting moments of calm, but those under God's protection possess a peace that remains steadfast despite ongoing difficulties. For instance, someone may face a serious illness or a financial crisis that seems overwhelming, yet they remain composed, making thoughtful decisions rather than panicking. This resilience comes from a reliance on God rather than one's own strength. It is a peace that is cultivated through a continuous relationship with Him, a relationship that provides strength, perspective, and comfort even when external circumstances are tumultuous. Peace in the midst of storms also manifests externally, influencing behavior and interactions with others. A person under God's protection may be faced with conflict, criticism, or even hostility, yet they respond with patience, grace, and a calm demeanor. Their inner peace prevents them from reacting rashly or harboring bitterness. This type of peace not only protects the individual spiritually, but also creates a buffer against relational and emotional harm. People are often drawn to such individuals because their presence brings a sense of stability and assurance, reflecting the protective hand of God at work in their lives. Furthermore, this peace often serves as a sign to others that God is actively involved in one's life. When others see someone maintaining composure during chaos, they recognize that there is a higher power sustaining them. This can inspire faith in those around them and become a testimony of God's protective care. The ability to remain at peace even when it would be natural to panic or despair is a spiritual mark of divine favor. It demonstrates that God's presence is not only a theoretical concept, but a living reality that actively shields, guides, and sustains the believer. The foundation of this peace lies in surrender. Those who are under God's special protection have learned to release control over situations they cannot change and place their trust fully in Him. This surrender does not imply passivity, but rather a confident assurance that God is orchestrating events for their good. Philippians 4:6-7 encourages believers to bring every concern to God in prayer, promising that the peace of God will guard their hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. This guarding is not passive, it actively protects the individual from fear, anxiety, and destructive thoughts, allowing them to navigate life's storms with clarity, courage, and faith. Ultimately, peace in the midst of storms is a reflection of God's personal attention and care. It is a spiritual shield, a reassurance, and a guiding light that assures the believer that no matter how fierce the storm, they are under divine protection. It is a peace that transcends human understanding, one that calms the heart, steadies the mind, and strengthens the spirit. Those who experience this peace can face life boldly, knowing that they are held by the Creator, shielded from unseen dangers, and guided toward a future full of hope and purpose. This peace is a spiritual sign, a confirmation that God's special protection is upon them, surrounding them with His love and keeping them secure through every trial and challenge they may face. Divine favor and open doors are unmistakable signs that a person is under God's special protection. While life is full of obstacles, challenges, and unexpected detours, there are times when opportunities and blessings arrive in ways that seem beyond human effort or understanding. These moments are not coincidences or mere luck. They are a clear manifestation of God's protective hand, guiding, supporting, and elevating His children. Divine favor acts as a shield, not only protecting from harm, but also creating pathways where there seems to be no way. It is God's way of ensuring that His plans for your life unfold according to His perfect timing and purpose. When a person experiences divine favor, they notice that situations often align in their favor, even when circumstances appear impossible. Doors that seemed closed suddenly open, relationships and connections emerge at the right moment, and opportunities that could change the course of life appear without explanation. This is a form of protection, as God positions His children in situations that will lead to growth, blessing, and fulfillment, while keeping them away from paths that could result in harm, failure, or unnecessary struggle. The alignment of circumstances and divine timing reveals that God is actively involved in guiding their life, and His favor surrounds them like a shield, making what seems difficult or impossible achievable. Divine favor is not limited to material blessings or success. It also extends to spiritual protection. When God favors someone, He often intervenes to prevent harm, smooth difficulties, or provide solutions in times of crisis. It might be a situation where a decision could have resulted in failure, but through a series of timely events, the outcome turns favorable. It could also involve protection from harmful influences, negative people, or dangerous circumstances. Psalm 5:12 says, "Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous, you surround them with your favor as with a shield." This scripture reminds us that God's favor is an active, protective presence that surrounds those He loves, ensuring their steps are guided and safeguarded. Experiencing divine favor also encourages confidence and trust in God's guidance. When opportunities align and blessings manifest unexpectedly, it reinforces the believer's faith that God is intimately involved in their life. This recognition strengthens the relationship between the believer and God, creating a deeper awareness that they are not navigating life alone. The knowledge that God's favor surrounds them brings peace, reduces anxiety about the future, and provides a sense of security in the face of uncertainty. It is the spiritual assurance that every challenge has a divine context and that God's hand is orchestrating events for ultimate good. Another aspect of divine favor is that it often comes with a sense of timing that cannot be attributed to human effort alone. Opportunities arrive at the exact moment they are needed, and solutions to complex problems appear when there seems to be no solution. This divine orchestration prevents unnecessary setbacks and ensures that the believer can progress toward their God-given purpose without being hindered by obstacles that would otherwise be overwhelming. Such favor is a clear sign of God's protection because it reflects His active involvement in directing life events, positioning individuals in places and situations that align with His will. Furthermore, divine favor manifests in relationships and connections. People who are under God's special protection often find themselves surrounded by individuals who uplift, guide, and support them. Mentors, friends, colleagues, and even strangers may appear at the right moment to provide wisdom, encouragement, or opportunity. These connections are not mere chance encounters. They are part of God's protective strategy, ensuring that His children are nurtured, encouraged, and directed toward paths that lead to blessing and away from harm. Favor, in this sense, functions as both a shield and a guide, creating networks of support that reinforce protection. Recognizing divine favor requires awareness and gratitude. Those who are under God's protection understand that these blessings are not merely the result of personal effort, talent, or luck, but the direct result of God's care and intervention. They acknowledge that every open door, every breakthrough, and every timely opportunity is evidence of His special protection. This recognition deepens faith, encourages obedience, and motivates the believer to live a life aligned with God's purpose. It reminds them that they are chosen, loved, and protected in ways that go beyond human understanding. Ultimately, divine favor and open doors are spiritual confirmations of God's presence and protection. They demonstrate that He is actively involved in shaping the believer's life, guiding their steps, and shielding them from harm. These manifestations encourage trust, strengthen faith, and provide assurance that no matter the challenges faced, God's hand is at work, creating opportunities, smoothing paths, and surrounding His children with blessings. For anyone experiencing these signs, it is a clear message. You are under God's special protection, and His favor is working on your behalf, guiding you toward a life of purpose, blessing, and divine fulfillment. Wisdom and discernment beyond one's years is a profound indicator that a person is under God's special protection. In life, people often face decisions that can have far-reaching consequences. Choices about relationships, careers, finances, health, and personal conduct. While many navigate these challenges through trial and error, those who are under God's divine protection often display an uncanny ability to make choices that safeguard them from harm, guide them toward blessings, and align their lives with God's purpose. This wisdom is not merely intellectual knowledge or life experience. It is a spiritual gift, a reflection of God's hand, guiding the believer and protecting them from unseen dangers. One of the most remarkable aspects of this wisdom is the way it manifests intuitively. Protected individuals often sense when a situation could lead to danger or failure, even when there is no apparent reason for concern. This discernment might appear as a quiet prompting in the heart, an inner voice cautioning against a particular decision, or a sudden clarity that directs them away from harmful paths. Proverbs 2:11 tells us that discretion will watch over us, and understanding will guard us. Those under God's protection frequently experience this kind of guidance, which acts as a spiritual shield, preventing them from encountering unnecessary harm. Leading them toward opportunities that foster growth, blessing, and fulfillment. This divine wisdom often extends to relationships as well. Choosing the right friends, mentors, partners, and associates can have a profound impact on one's life. Those under God's protection are often able to discern who to trust, who to distance themselves from, and when to invest in relationships. This discernment protects them from toxic influences, manipulation, and betrayal that could derail their personal, emotional, or spiritual well-being. It allows them to cultivate a supportive circle of people who uplift, encourage, and guide them, reinforcing God's protective presence in their lives. In this way, wisdom and discernment serve not only as tools for personal decision-making, but also as a mechanism for spiritual and relational protection. Another important aspect of this wisdom is the ability to recognize timing. Life is full of opportunities that may appear promising but are ill-timed. Those under God's special protection often have a sense of when to act and when to wait, demonstrating patience and trust in God's perfect timing. This discernment ensures that they avoid premature decisions or hasty actions that could result in failure or hardship. Ecclesiastes 3 reminds us that there is a time for everything, and God's guidance allows the believer to align their actions with His divine schedule. The ability to navigate timing effectively is a sign that God is actively guarding their steps, ensuring that their efforts are fruitful and aligned with His plan. Wisdom and discernment also manifest in the ability to handle challenges with prudence and clarity. When faced with complex situations, those under God's protection often find solutions that others may overlook. Their ability to see beyond the surface, understand underlying dynamics, and anticipate outcomes reflects a spiritual insight that comes directly from God. This insight not only protects them from mistakes, but also equips them to influence situations positively, turning potential difficulties into opportunities for growth and blessing. It demonstrates that God's guidance is not passive. It actively shapes their decision-making, ensuring that they navigate life safely and purposefully. Furthermore, this spiritual discernment often enables individuals to recognize God's broader plan. They understand that certain setbacks, detours, or delays are not punishments, but divine redirections designed for their ultimate good. They are able to distinguish between temporary obstacles and genuine dangers, making choices that protect their spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. This awareness fosters patience, resilience, and trust, reinforcing their faith in God's protective care. When one consistently makes decisions that align with God's will, it is evidence that divine wisdom is at work, guiding them away from harm and toward blessing. In addition, wisdom and discernment often lead to opportunities for service, influence, and leadership. Those who are able to navigate life's complexities with clarity and prudence are often placed in positions where they can positively impact others. God's protective hand guides not only their personal path, but also positions them to be a source of guidance and blessing to those around them. Their decisions, informed by divine insight, create ripples of protection, encouragement, and prosperity that extend beyond themselves. Ultimately, wisdom and discernment beyond one's years are spiritual confirmations of God's special protection. They demonstrate that God is intimately involved in guiding decisions, shielding from harm, and positioning individuals for blessing and purpose. When someone consistently navigates life with insight, makes choices that prevent harm, and seizes opportunities that lead to growth, it is a clear sign of divine guidance. This wisdom is both a shield and a compass, providing protection, direction, and assurance that God's hand is actively shaping their life. Those who recognize this gift are called to walk with gratitude, humility, and faith, knowing that their steps are ordered, their paths guarded, and their lives under God's special protection. Sudden deliverance from danger is one of the most profound and unmistakable signs that a person is under God's special protection. Life is full of unexpected circumstances, some of which can threaten our physical safety, emotional well-being, or spiritual growth. These dangers can arise in the form of accidents, natural disasters, relational conflicts, financial crises, or even situations that seem ordinary but carry hidden risks. Yet, those who are under God's protective care often experience deliverance at the very moment when disaster seems inevitable, a phenomenon that cannot be explained by mere luck, coincidence, or human effort. This divine intervention is a clear demonstration that God's hand is actively shielding them from harm and guiding them towards safety and blessing. One of the most striking aspects of sudden deliverance is its timing. Often, it occurs at the very moment when danger is about to strike. For example, a person might narrowly avoid a car accident, experience an unexpected reprieve from illness, or be led away from a situation that could have resulted in serious harm. These instances are not random. They are carefully orchestrated by God, who sees what we cannot and intervenes on our behalf. Exodus 14:14 reminds us, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." This verse highlights that deliverance is an active expression of God's protection, often happening when we pause, trust, and allow Him to work on our behalf. Sudden deliverance also serves to strengthen faith and build trust in God's providence. When a person experiences a narrowly avoided disaster or a miraculous escape, it reinforces their understanding that they are not alone and that God is intimately involved in their lives. This awareness fosters a deeper reliance on Him and a heightened sensitivity to His guidance. People who experience divine deliverance learn to recognize God's hand in their everyday circumstances, understanding that even events that appear ordinary may be orchestrated for their protection. This realization cultivates a sense of humility, gratitude, and spiritual attentiveness, as they acknowledge that human effort alone could not have prevented the danger. Another important aspect of sudden deliverance is that it often comes in ways that are completely unexplainable by human logic. It might be a last-minute change of plans, a warning from an intuitive feeling, a timely intervention from another person, or circumstances that shift in a way that prevents harm. These instances reveal the supernatural dimension of God's protection and remind us that He operates on a level far beyond human understanding. While we may plan, strategize, or take precautions, divine deliverance demonstrates that God's oversight is what ultimately preserves our lives and well-being. It is a spiritual shield that is both subtle and powerful, invisible to the eye yet real in effect. Deliverance also provides lessons and warnings. Those who are spared from danger often reflect on their experience and recognize areas of their life that require vigilance, prayer, or alignment with God's will. It serves as a wake-up call, prompting them to evaluate their decisions, relationships, or priorities. This protective guidance is not only about immediate safety, but also about long-term spiritual growth. By steering us away from harm, God ensures that we remain on the path of His purpose and avoid situations that could lead to physical, emotional, or spiritual damage. Furthermore, sudden deliverance often comes in ways that inspire others and strengthen the faith of those who witness it. When friends, family, or communities observe someone being spared from danger under miraculous circumstances, it serves as a testimony to God's active presence and care. It encourages those around to trust in God's protection and recognize that He is not distant or passive, but intimately involved in the lives of His children. This ripple effect extends God's protective influence beyond the individual, touching lives and inspiring faith in others. Experiencing deliverance also cultivates gratitude and a heightened awareness of God's constant care. Each incident, whether minor or life-altering, is an opportunity to acknowledge His intervention, to thank Him, and to reaffirm trust in His guidance. This gratitude strengthens the believer's spiritual life and reinforces their confidence that no matter what trials or dangers arise, God's protection is unwavering. It fosters a mindset that is alert, prayerful, and reliant on divine wisdom, which in turn enhances the person's ability to navigate future challenges with faith and resilience. Ultimately, sudden deliverance from danger is a clear spiritual sign that God's special protection surrounds an individual. It is evidence of His active engagement, His care for our well-being, and His desire to preserve us for the fulfillment of His purposes. Each moment of deliverance confirms that no weapon, hazard, or threat can succeed against those whom God shields. It reassures us that we are not alone, that divine oversight governs our steps, and that God's protective hand is both immediate and enduring. Those who experience this deliverance are called to walk with awareness, gratitude, and faith, knowing that they are under the vigilant watch of a loving and powerful God, whose shield is ever present, and whose protection is both real and transformative. Supportive and uplifting relationships are a powerful sign that a person is under God's special protection. Human beings are inherently social creatures, and the people with whom we surround ourselves have a profound impact on our emotional, spiritual, and even physical well-being. God, in His infinite wisdom, often protects His children not only through direct intervention, but also by orchestrating the people around them. Those who are under His special care tend to find themselves surrounded by individuals who uplift, encourage, guide, and strengthen them, while simultaneously being shielded from toxic, harmful, or destructive influences. These relationships serve as a protective network, a spiritual buffer that reinforces God's hand in their lives. One of the ways God's protection manifests through relationships is through the presence of mentors and guides who offer wisdom and direction. People under divine protection often encounter individuals who provide timely counsel, insight, and encouragement during crucial moments in their lives. This guidance may help them make wise decisions, avoid pitfalls, or seize opportunities aligned with God's purpose. These mentors act as spiritual instruments channeled by God, ensuring that the individual remains on a path that fosters growth and aligns with divine will. Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." When someone consistently experiences guidance through the right people at the right time, it is a clear indicator of God's protective orchestration. Uplifting relationships also manifest in friendships and social networks that foster positivity, encouragement, and accountability. People under God's protection tend to attract companions who support their spiritual journey, inspire faith, and encourage righteous living. These relationships create an environment that strengthens character, nurtures resilience, and reinforces a sense of purpose. They help the individual navigate life's challenges with a sense of stability and confidence, knowing that they are not alone. Conversely, God often keeps harmful or destructive individuals at a distance, preventing exposure to influences that could lead to emotional, spiritual, or even physical harm. This selective protection ensures that the person's environment nurtures growth and well-being rather than undermining it. Another key aspect of these protective relationships is the timing of encounters. Often people who are under God's special protection meet certain individuals at exactly the right moment, when guidance, support, or encouragement is most needed. These relationships may appear coincidental, but they are divinely orchestrated interventions that provide direction, correction, or reinforcement. Whether it is a friend offering a comforting word, a colleague providing a career opportunity, or a mentor giving crucial spiritual insight, the timing of these relationships is often impeccable, reflecting God's meticulous care in protecting and guiding His children. Supportive relationships also serve as a shield against relational toxicity and emotional harm. Those under divine protection frequently notice that negative, manipulative, or harmful individuals cannot gain a foothold in their lives. Even when encountering difficult people, they are often guided by God's wisdom to respond appropriately, avoid conflict, or distance themselves safely. This protection ensures that the individual's heart and mind remain secure, preventing emotional wounds that could hinder personal or spiritual growth. It is as if a spiritual barrier surrounds them, allowing positive relationships to flourish while keeping destructive influences at bay. These relationships not only provide immediate protection, but also have long-term benefits for spiritual and personal development. Supportive companions encourage perseverance, inspire faith, and foster resilience during challenging times. They celebrate successes, provide comfort during disappointments, and help maintain perspective when life becomes overwhelming. Through these relationships, individuals experience God's protective care in tangible ways, reinforcing the understanding that His hand is at work even in the social and relational aspects of life. Romans 12:10 urges believers to be devoted to one another in love, honor one another above yourselves, reflecting the reciprocal nature of relationships under divine guidance. Furthermore, uplifting relationships often extend beyond the individual, creating networks of protection and encouragement for others. Those under God's special care often become conduits of His love and protection themselves, influencing and guiding others in positive ways. Their presence, supported by nurturing relationships, becomes a source of blessing, guidance, and protection for those around them. This ripple effect amplifies God's protective influence, showing that divine care is not only personal but communal, extending to those connected through faith, love, and fellowship. Ultimately, supportive and uplifting relationships are a clear sign of God's special protection. They demonstrate that He is actively involved in arranging the people in a person's life, ensuring encouragement, guidance, and shielding from harm. These relationships serve as a spiritual buffer, a network of divine care that nurtures growth, fosters faith, and protects the individual from toxic influences. Recognizing and valuing these relationships allows the believer to live with gratitude, awareness, and trust in God's orchestration. For anyone experiencing these signs, it is a confirmation that they are under God's vigilant and loving protection, surrounded not only by His presence, but also by the supportive hands and hearts of others He has placed strategically in their lives. Unexplainable strength and hope in times of trial are profound signs that a person is under God's special protection. Life is full of challenges that test the limits of human endurance, resilience, and faith. Trials may come in the form of financial difficulties, health crises, relationship struggles, emotional pain, or spiritual battles. While many people are easily overwhelmed by these hardships, those under God's divine protection often display an inner strength and unwavering hope that surpass human understanding. This strength and hope are not merely products of personal determination. They are gifts from God, evidence of His active presence, and confirmation that He is guarding, guiding, and sustaining the believer through every difficulty. One of the most remarkable aspects of this unexplainable strength is its ability to endure beyond normal human limits. Individuals under God's protection may face circumstances that would naturally lead to despair, yet they find themselves able to persevere with courage, resilience, and composure. Their ability to maintain faith and continue moving forward, even when hope seems distant, reflects a supernatural empowerment from God. 2 Corinthians 12:9 reminds us that God's grace is sufficient, and His power is made perfect in weakness. This scripture highlights the divine principle that true strength is not merely human effort, but a manifestation of God's sustaining power. When someone experiences this strength during hardship, it is a clear sign that they are under divine protection. Hope, as a companion to strength, also plays a critical role. Those under God's special care maintain a forward-looking perspective, trusting that God's plan is at work, even when circumstances appear bleak. This hope is not naive optimism. It is a confident expectancy, rooted in God's promises. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." The hope that sustains protected individuals acts as a spiritual shield, keeping despair, fear, and discouragement from taking hold. It provides clarity, emotional stability, and spiritual resilience, allowing the believer to face trials without being consumed by them. This unexplainable strength and hope often manifest in practical ways. A person may remain calm under pressure, make wise decisions despite emotional turmoil, or take courageous steps when others would hesitate or retreat. It may appear as perseverance through long-term struggles, the ability to forgive when wronged, or the capacity to maintain faith when outcomes are uncertain. These responses are not merely the result of personal discipline, they reflect God's active intervention, equipping the individual to endure and thrive in circumstances that would otherwise be overwhelming. This divine empowerment protects the believer from being defeated or derailed by adversity. Furthermore, this strength and hope have a ripple effect on those around the individual. People who witness someone enduring hardships with faith and resilience are often inspired, encouraged, and uplifted. The ability to maintain hope and strength in difficult times becomes a testimony of God's presence, protection, and faithfulness. It demonstrates to others that divine assistance is real, tangible, and life-transforming. In this way, the strength and hope of one person under God's protection can influence, guide, and bless a broader community, creating a spiritual network of encouragement and faith. Experiencing this unexplainable strength and hope also fosters spiritual growth. Trials are often used by God to refine character, develop patience, deepen faith, and strengthen reliance on Him. Those who recognize that their resilience comes from God rather than themselves are more likely to grow spiritually, cultivate humility, and develop a deeper relationship with Him. This understanding reinforces trust in God's protective care, as individuals acknowledge that their ability to endure is a direct result of His sustaining presence. Moreover, God often uses these moments of strength and hope to guide the believer toward opportunities and blessings that would otherwise be inaccessible. Trials are not random or meaningless. They serve a divine purpose, shaping character, preparing the individual for greater responsibilities. and positioning them for future success in alignment with God's will. The strength and hope provided in these moments ensure that the believer does not succumb to fear, despair, or defeat, but emerges stronger, wiser, and more aligned with God's purpose. Ultimately, unexplainable strength and hope are unmistakable indicators of God's special protection. They demonstrate that He is actively working in the life of the believer, sustaining them through hardships, shielding them from despair, and equipping them to navigate life's challenges with faith, resilience, and courage. Those who experience this divine empowerment can face trials with confidence, knowing that they are not alone and that God's protective hand is both present and powerful. This strength and hope are spiritual confirmations that God's care surrounds them, guiding their steps, protecting their spirit, and preparing them for a future full of blessings, purpose, and divine fulfillment. In conclusion, the signs of God's special protection are both powerful and deeply reassuring. Those who experience peace in the midst of storms, divine favor and open doors, wisdom and discernment beyond their years, sudden deliverance from danger, supportive and uplifting relationships, and unexplainable strength and hope are living testimonies of His active, loving, and vigilant care. Each of these signs serves as a spiritual confirmation that God is intimately involved in their lives, guiding their steps, shielding them from harm, and positioning them for blessings and purpose. Peace in the midst of storms reminds us that no matter how chaotic life may seem, God's presence calms our hearts and anchors our souls. Divine favor and open doors show that God is orchestrating circumstances for our good, ensuring that we walk paths aligned with His will. Wisdom and discernment beyond our own understanding guide our decisions, protecting us from harm and steering us toward growth. Sudden deliverance from danger demonstrates God's timely intervention, rescuing us from situations we could not have avoided on our own. Supportive and uplifting relationships act as spiritual buffers, surrounding us with encouragement, guidance, and protection. Unexplainable strength and hope empower us to persevere through trials, sustaining our faith and inspiring others along the way. Taken together, these signs are not merely coincidences or luck. They are a manifestation of God's special protection, a divine shield that surrounds those He loves. Recognizing these signs allows us to live with confidence, gratitude, and faith, knowing that God is actively watching over us and guiding us toward a life of purpose and fulfillment. For anyone experiencing these markers of protection, it is a powerful reminder: you are chosen, you are safeguarded, and nothing can separate you from the love and care of a faithful God. Walk boldly in this assurance, embrace the signs of His protection, and allow them to strengthen your faith, inspire your hope, and guide your steps, knowing that the Creator of the universe is actively working in your life, shielding you, and leading you into a future full of blessings, purpose, and divine fulfillment.